The topic of this video is, what should a person focus upon in this reality in regards to what is the most valuable thing from an eternal perspective. And I venture to say, from an enlightened point of view, that it is friendship. Now, let me explain that somewhat. It would appear that maybe from the onset of this topic or discussion that it seems like it's a rudimentary, it seems like it's a very easy to understand and of no real value to a serious seeker in the spiritual circles that's looking for enlightenment and that sort of thing. But when you understand the concept that Jesus taught, that when everything is boiled down to the most important aspect of what he taught, it was that you should love God with all your heart, might, mind, and strength, and then love yourself and your neighbor. And everything else is built upon that foundation. And if that foundation doesn't exist, then everything else dissolves. I'm speaking from an eternal perspective and not from a local perspective. So, when I say a friendship is the most important thing, does that mean that you are going to feel as a failure because you have no real close friends in this life, possibly, for those of you that may feel that way? Or how about those that have hundreds of friends and they go, wow, well, see, I am very successful in that field. However, true friendship is extremely rare. And when I say true friendship, I would venture to say most of you don't even understand what a true friend is. Because you may be feeling, well, I don't have any friends. I'm all alone. But you have to be the friend to other people. You have to go out of your way to be a friend. If that friendship is not returned in the way that you initially expect that it should be, don't worry about that. Because you're looking at this, or you should be looking at this from an eternal perspective. And when you go out of the way to be a friend to somebody else, that means you treat them with respect and love. You help them. And most of the time in this busy, busy, busy world, that friendship is not going to be returned to you in such a way that you might expect that it should be. And likewise, you're not able to be a friend to another person in the way that you expect what true friendship is, when in fact you don't know what true friendship is. True friendship may not only be a friend that you share everything with, but a true friend may very well be someone that you rarely, or if ever, see. It could be your neighbor across the street that you smile at, that you help when they have a problem. It could be a stranger in the grocery store that you're a friend to. Because you see, you're looking at it, you should be looking at it from an eternal perspective, not locally in this one life only. In this video, I'm very reflective because I made this video 3 or 4 days ago, and as funny as it may be, a fourth of the way through, the batteries went dead on the transmitter, and there was no voice. That would normally upset people, including myself, but I don't get upset anymore. It just is what it is. That's the way it is in this spiritual existence. Anyways, so Jesus also said something that you should store up treasures in heaven where the moth doesn't eat and rust doesn't destroy. But what is there to store up in heaven as a treasure when in fact everything belongs to God? But the only thing that you can do for yourself is friendship. Now let's think about this for a minute. You read constantly from the teachings of gurus and spiritual teachers around the world and throughout history that you should seek after joy, seek after contentment, seek after bliss. All of these things are selfish desires that in the end you will not have because you will not exist. When the kalpa of time is over, if you have not become one with God, and the only way to become one with God is to be a friend of God and to love God and to love your neighbors as yourself and to love all those that are also one with God. And if you can't get there that way, you're not going to be one with God. And then when the kalpa of time is over, you lose everything, everything. Your bliss, your joy, all these things that you've been taught to seek after, gone. Because that all belongs to God. There isn't anything you can keep for yourself because yourself will cease to exist and your essence will revert back to the essence of nothingness inside Brahman. When I say inside, there's nothing outside of Brahman. I'm speaking multidimensionally. That's one thing that I have been asked to clarify from not only my brother Gordon, but from another person that watches these videos. Benjamin has mentioned it, that I speak multidimensionally and very few people can follow me. And that's not a good thing if I'm trying to teach people. And so I'll try to do better. But when I say multidimensionally, even that may go over the heads of most people. What I mean by that is, from a fully enlightened perspective, being one with God, and then down to this physical domain, there's multi-meanings for the word you, for the word me. There's multi-meanings to so many things. And so when I'm speaking up here and then in the next second I'm speaking down here and then I'm speaking here, it becomes confusing. I don't know if I can fix that, but I can at least let you know that that's what I'm doing. So if you're confused, that would be why you are confused, because I'm all over the map in that respect. So dial that into your memory banks. So how do you become a friend, an eternal friend? If that is the main, since that is the main focus of what you should focus upon, friendship, because that's the only eternal thing. And in fact, without friends, you will not become one with God. So consequently, how? And by the way, when I say if you don't have, remember, I'm not speaking from a single dimensional point of view. I'm not speaking from your single 50, 60, 70, 90-year lifespan on this particular earth. I'm speaking of multidimensionally from hundreds and thousands and millions of lifetimes. So when I say making friends is not only the most important thing, but it's absolutely crucial, and that if you don't have friends, then you're not going to become one with God, and you're going to cease to exist in the end of the Kalpa. But don't worry about that in this particular lifetime. In this particular lifetime, what you should be focused on so that you can be working towards making friends is, what are you going to do to be a friend to somebody? Now, as many of you know from my stories, I'm a retired professional firefighter. And if we consider the people that I helped in the scope of my work as a professional firefighter, what did I have to do to be able to help these people? Well, I went through a 1-year fire academy, and we practiced endlessly on how to do our jobs and how to memorize things and how to be a emergency medical technician and how to raise ladders and drag hoses and the science of fire and how it chemically reacts with other things. And the list is endless. I mean, it is like incredibly intense, the training, not only for your mind to grasp how to do your job better, but physically speaking, you had to be in tip-top shape to be able to do your job under stressful situations. Otherwise, how are you going to help people? And every year of my career, 25 plus year career, the entrance examination that people take, that if they need, they need to pass the physical examination, and if they're not strong enough and have the capacity and endurance to pass that test, they're not hired. That very same test is given to every firefighter every single year of their career, and if they can't pass it, they are essentially laid off until they can pass it, or they are let go. So at 50 years old, you have to pass the same test that a 20-year-old passed. And why not? You have to do the job. It isn't something that is mean-spirited, that some 50-year-old guy can't pass a physical agilities test, so we must make it easy on him. No, you have to still do the job. So what do? You prepare, you prepare, you prepare. And then there's ongoing education every year. You had to average every shift 2 hours a shift of training. When I say average, sometimes you spend 10 hours on training on a shift, and so for 5 days you just do your normal job. But that aside, let's now translate that to spiritual practice in what you should seek after. And to say or to believe the absolute self-centered, narcissistic, failure-prone concept of seek after bliss is absolutely nuts, because you're going to lose that. Forget about what you want and focus on how to help other people. You'll forget about the troubles that you have to deal with when you're focused on helping others. Greedy, demonic people do not understand this, and they too will lose everything. Satan will cease to exist. Shiva will cease to exist at the end of a kalpa, because they will not be one with God. So how do you prepare yourself to create friendships? Since that is not only the only thing worthy to seek after, but in addition to that, without it, you're not going to become one with God. So don't focus on the selfishness of, oh, well, I got to do something so that I can become one with God. Because if that is your goal and the desire, you're going to lose that too, because that's selfishness. You have to have an attitude of, you know what, I don't care if I cease to exist. I don't care if I end up in a make-believe hell for all eternity. I don't care if I'm punished for all eternity. The only thing I care about is love. The only thing I care about is loving God. And I don't even care if this God is a mean-spirited bastard that wants to destroy me for all eternity. I don't care. The fact that I exist and I have the capacity to think, that God that gave me that ability, I love. And if that God sends me to hell for all eternity, I still love that God for the fact that I'm able to think and comprehend. I love that God. And I love others around me that may be going through a miserable time or not. And I love the idiots that decide to be demonic. Why? Because I don't know what's in their heart and soul for all eternity. Just because in this single particular lifetime they may have been distracted by greed, money, and power, doesn't mean that they won't repent and someday, eventually, either in this life or another life, alter the path that they're on and go, wow, I was a horrible person and I was ignorant as to what was valuable. And therefore I sought after power, glory, money. So you love those people. You be a friend to those people. Protect yourself, of course. When I say protect yourself, of course, I mean if you're a friend or you love a person that is trying to do you harm, protect yourself against whatever damage that they might inflict upon you if you are an ignorant fool. Protect yourself, but still maintain your love and friendship, trying to help them become a better person. And if at the end of your life you have no friends and you still lived your life trying to make friends, well, then you're a success. Because all you have to do is start the foundation. That's all you have to do. So, what do you seek after What is your goal? Because you can't say, like as a firefighter, you can't say without any training, without any study, without anything, well, I want to be a professional firefighter and drive around in a fancy, clean fire engine with sirens going, and I'm going to help people. But I'm not going to put in any training, and I'm not going to do any physical exercising. I just want the glory of being a firefighter. Well, you're going to fail miserably, of course. So you can't say, I want to be a professional firefighter. What you have to say is, oh, I have to focus on all the little intricacies that make a professional firefighter. So in the spiritual realm of what I'm speaking of, how do you do that? What should you seek after in this particular life? Simultaneously, while you're being a friend to your neighbor across the street or in the grocery store or helping a friend in need or this or that or whatever the case may be, simultaneously, what should you seek after? Well, enlightenment, of course. Seek after God enlightenment. Seek after enlightenment in every possible way that you can conceive of. Now, as they teach, if you seek after it, well, you're not going to get it, they say. But they also say you're not going to get it if you don't seek after it. So it's better to seek after it and not get it than to not seek after it and not get it. Because if you seek after it, at least you'll have the knowledge. You will have the lemon, but you won't have the taste. If a person tastes a lemon that has never seen a lemon, doesn't know what a lemon is, and they don't even see the taste, the thing that's going into their mouth, and they taste it, it means nothing to them other than it's a striking, powerful taste, whatever that taste, however you define it. They won't know what to associate that taste with. But you will if you seek after enlightenment. And by chance you happen to do become enlightened, you will be able to associate, aha, this is the lemon in my hand. I know where they grow. I know what they grow on. I know the seasons that they grow in. And now I know the taste, and I can associate the taste with all of the things I've studied. And now all of that makes sense to me. Does that make sense? So yeah, seek after seemingly a selfish desire of enlightenment. Seek after educating yourself in every way, shape, or form to understand. Recognizing, of course, that in this particular realm, there is so many lies, so much deception. The god of this world is Shiva, Satan. And every effort by this god is to deceive. All the written scriptures, the Vedas, everything there is, every Sanskrit, everything, all your Bibles, the Quran, everything has been perverted and corrupted in so many ways. Not only as an effort to corrupt, but as an indirect act of ignorance, it has been corrupted. You cannot get the full truth to make sense and to become enlightened, to be a friend, to use that knowledge and wisdom to help other people, spiritually speaking, You cannot, in other words, you could have PhDs in spiritual studies, and essentially you're no more than a computer program. But can a computer program help somebody else? Yeah, you could help somebody else, but a computer cannot be a friend. Does that make sense? You could have all the knowledge in the world, the most powerful supercomputer in the world, but that computer cannot be a friend. It actually takes an essence, a soul, an imperfect medium of a human body, brain, with an essence to be a friend. That's the most important thing, to be a friend. And prepare yourself. So one last thing I wanted to talk about, because it kind of goes along with this. You know how you've heard so many times that there are spiritual people that get off on this kick that they'll say, oh, there's no spirit inside of me. You don't have a spirit. There's no soul inside this. There's nobody here. You've heard that. Non-duality teaches that. But that's trickery. Because if from an enlightened point of view, if I were to say there is nothing, nobody inside of this body, I am not here. If I were to say that, it would not only be true, but it would be untrue. And why? Because of the trickery that, as you well know, listening to me and others, reality is an illusion. There's no substance to it. It is an illusion. And so to say there's nothing inside of this, that's because this doesn't exist. This physical body is an illusion. Therefore, how could something be inside of it? It can't. There is nothing in this reality realm universe that's real. It is all an illusion. When you are enlightened, you will be able to taste the fact that this physical reality is an illusion. And so since nothing is real and nothing exists except for your essence, that's all that exists. And it is the only thing that is real. But it isn't physically tangible. And that is why the comparison is made between God and yourself, Brahma and Atman, that comparison in Hinduism, again, Hinduism a lot of times, they're speaking from a perspective that predates this dispensation of 10, 12,000 years. And so they're speaking from an enlightened point of view that has been misinterpreted in these days. So when I speak of reinterpreting the meaning of Brahman and Atman, there are individual character traits of Brahman as versus my Atman. My Atman, my essence, is not only exactly the same as Brahman, but different. Brahman is not me, and I am not Brahman. But if I speak on a lower perspective, like I was talking earlier, I'm all over the map. If I speak at a lower perspective in this physical body, then I and God are one and the same. But that is the lowest possible denominator of understanding. That I and God are the same. Once you dig yourself out of that pit of ignorance, and you can only do that through enlightenment, you realize that though it appears as one and the same at this level, it starts to bifurcate as you get into a higher level. And then when you get to the highest level, it coalesces again, which is why Jesus says, I and the Father are one. But even if you're one, that doesn't mean you're the same. You could have one orange and one lemon and put them in a basket and say, see, this is one. But they're not the same just because they're in the same basket. So it appears to be one at this level, and it appears to be one at this level. And here you can see there's a difference. And up here, you can only know there's a difference if you're there. But from all other perspectives, there's no way to know that there's a difference at the highest level, unless you're already there. So I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about. So yeah, from a seemingly self-centered, seemingly selfish, seemingly spiritually greedy point of view, with the mind thought that you are seeking to become one with God, that you are seeking to be a friend and make friends, eternal friends, how do you get there? Again, from the lowest level, seemingly self-centered, greedy, narcissistic, you seek after enlightenment. You seek after every bit of spiritual knowledge you can possibly muster. And then the difference between those that make friends and those that become demons are a friend offers all that they have to their friend. That's the difference between demonology, Satan worship, and those that become one with God, that exist eternally one with God and do not, at the end of a kalpa time, return to Brahman, nothingness, total darkness. Because think of the I don't want to say logic, but think of how everything in existence is God. God has created everything. God is everything. From a physical perspective. And so what is going to contain your power, your knowledge, your wisdom, your bliss? Let's say you seek after bliss. What's going to contain that bliss? If there's nothing to contain it, It dissipates. It is nothing. There is no bliss without something to contain that bliss. And when you lose the container, the bliss is gone. If you seek after power and glory, and to rule and reign in multi-dimensions and realms, and to control masses of people and all of these things, gone eventually, because there's nothing to contain it. The only way to contain it is if you're one with God eternally. And that can never happen from a perspective of anything less than love and friendship. There is no other way. So remember that. There's nothing wrong with seeking after enlightenment, to seek after knowledge. If you have it within yourself to seek after and obtain the powers of raising the dead, healing the sick, don't do that for money. Do that for friendship. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. In a reality that is an illusion, how difficult can it be to cure someone of cancer? I mean, of course you can do it from a medical standpoint. Well, they're not very successful actually, but it can be done. But it's a heck of a lot easier to just will it to be done and cured so that it never returns. But it requires tremendous faith and love and friendship. And if you do that sort of thing for money, well, then it's for money. It isn't for love and friendship. Anyways, I hope I've made this amply crystal clear. Because that's what passively, ignorantly, whatever, I don't know, that has always been the way I operate. I didn't know why I operated that way. I only knew that friendships were the only thing of value, eternally speaking. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I love you. I hope I've cleared up a few things for you. And I hope you have a good holiday coming up. Talk to you later.